Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to set up a relatively cheap home 10 gigabit network. Now in this circumstance we're going to be setting it up using two computers, one machine acting as our host for the shared folder and files that we're going to need to access over the network, and then the second computer to be able to access these files and transfer, cut, copy, paste, etc. to this network location. Now, what you're going to need first and foremost is a pair of 10 gigabit network adapters. Now, some motherboards, higher end motherboards, may have onboard 10 gigabit. This is obviously the best case scenario, but most will not. Most will have a 1 gig or 2.5 gig NIC. So if that's the case, what you can do, this is what I've done as well. These are the exact same ones I use at home in my network. You can get these Broadcom dual port RJ45 10 gig adapters for relatively cheap off of eBay. Depending on availability, when they've been put up for sale, you can get them for anywhere between 70, 80, 100 bucks or so. And these are what I would recommend. As you can see up the top here, you can get SFP variants of these cards. However, just for ease of setup, I prefer the RJ45 cards, because with the SFP cards you have to be careful with using the right SFP adapters and cables, etc, etc. Whereas using the RJ45 cards, it's just a lot easier. They may be a little bit more expensive, but in my opinion it's just much easier to set things up and get it all going. So again, you're going to need a pair of these, obviously one for the client machine and one for the host machine. So once you've done that and you've installed the cards in the machines, you've got your drivers good to go, we can get started with the setup. Just a quick note in regards to the drivers. I've had no issues with Windows Update automatically picking up these NICs and installing the correct drivers. As we can see in Device Manager here, it's got them picked up correctly. However, if for some reason Windows does struggle to get the right drivers for them, you can do a quick Google search and find the right drivers to suit whatever operating system you're on. So with that out of the way, we can get to the configuration. Alrighty, so we'll get started with configuring the host machine first. So to get this all set up, what you're going to want to do is head into your control panel, view network status and tasks, change adapter settings, and then find that adapter. I've labeled mine here, so I've got 10 gigabit link 1, that's the one that I'm going to be using. So once you've found the right adapter, double click on it, head down to properties, double click on Internet Protocol version 4, and here we're going to need to set an IP address. Now you can use an IP address that matches what you've already got on your existing network at home, or you may choose to use something different. I'm going to use a 10.0 IP range, so being this is the host machine, I'm going to give it 10.0.0.1, and we'll give it the subnet 255.0.0.0. We don't need to worry about a gateway, and we don't need to worry about a DNS server. The reason we don't need to worry about a gateway or a DNS server is these NICs are not going to be accessing the internet. Rather, this is going to be a local network connection between this computer and the computer that you're using to access the files. So we're going to remember that IP address 10.0.0.1, and we're going to hit OK and hit OK on that again. As we can see, we've actually already got 10 gigabits being listed as the speed under our status, so that is always a good sign. So once that's all set up, we'll set up the network connection on the client machine. To do that, again, we'll navigate to that same location, adapter settings, 10 gig link 1, properties, same box there. And now we're also going to need to pop this on that same IP range. I'm going to go 10.0.0.3, give it the same subnet mask. And again, we don't need a gateway or a DNS server for this adapter. So we're going to hit OK and OK. And as we can see here, we've got our speed showing up as 10 gigabits per second, which is also a good sign. Once we've got the IPs set up and good to go, the next thing we're going to want to do is change a few parameters under the advanced settings for the actual adapter itself. So we head into properties, advanced settings, and then we head over to advanced. And you can see there's a bunch of different options here. Now depending on what adapter you have, there may be more, there may be less, but there's a few key ones that we want to make sure we change. So scroll down until you see jumbo packet. You're going to want to make sure that this is set to its maximum value. then we also want to scroll down to transmit buffers. We're going to make sure that that's our maximum value, which is 5,000. And then we also want to change our receive buffers. Our maximum value is 3,000. Those are the three main settings you're going to want to make sure are changed. You can do a little bit of fine tuning with some of these other settings, but those are the three core ones that you're going to want to make sure are set up correctly. So once that's done, we can head out of that. We'll drag back over our window for our host machine, and we'll do the same thing. We'll head into Properties, Configure, Advanced. We'll check Jumbo Packet is set to its maximum value. We'll check that Receive Buffers is set to 3,000, and Transmit Buffers is set to 5,000, being their maximum values. Now these three settings need to match between the two computers, the two adapters that will be talking to each other. So even if you've got mismatched adapters, you may have to dial one back a little bit with the transmit receive buffers or the jumbo packet size, so that they match and can talk to each other. So once we've done that, we can go ahead and check to see if these two machines can ping each other. So we'll hop out of all of this, bring our command prompt, and we're going to ping 10.0.0.3, which was our client machine. As you can see, we're getting a reply, which is a good sign. Now we will try pinging from our client machine back to our host machine. So we go ping 10.0.0.1, and we're getting a reply. That means we're good to go, and we can now set up the file share and start copying stuff between the two machines. Alright, now I have made a video previously on setting up network shares, so I won't go through it all again. However, I will leave a link to that video in the description down below if you need a hand on setting that up. So once we've got that file share set up, we're going to head to our client PC, we're going to add a network location, and we're going to punch in // then that IP address of our host, and then the directory to our share folder. So we're going to use that IP address. We need to make sure that we use that IP address rather than the machine's host name, otherwise it's not going to use that 10 gig connection. So we want to specifically point it to use that network adapter through that IP address 10.0.0.1 or whatever IP address you've given the network adapter on that host machine. So once we've done that, we're going to hit next, give her a name, hit next, hit finish. As we can see here, that's opened up our share file and it's using the correct network address. So once we've done that, we can go ahead and test what kind of transfer speeds we're going to get. So I've got a nearly 3 gig ISO file here as a test. We'll paste her in and see what we get. So we're getting 360 megabytes per second, which is not the full 10 gig, and there is a reason why. Now at the moment, this NAS, the machine that it's copying to, is just running a mechanical hard drive, so that 360 megabytes a second is maxing out our write speed on that hard drive. If there were NVMe SSDs or even standard SATA SSDs, again, we'd see much higher transfer speeds, and with something like an NVMe SSD as our source and our target destinations, we'd definitely be able to max out that 10 gig link. But yep, however, being a mechanical hard drive, we're not going to get anywhere close to maxing out that 10 gig, but at least that infrastructure is there, gives us headroom for upgrading to faster storage in the future. And that 360 megabytes per second is still quite a big upgrade over what you'd get trying to transfer along a 1 gig link, which would probably be about 150 megabytes per second. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Any questions, feel free to leave them down below, and I will see you in the next one.